It's time for change to move into the real work of the universe. And it's time to understand that we use the matter state to reach the level of understanding of the soul of the man. Now you understand maybe why the Creator has sent His messengers in the name of whatever you have had. Is that they bring the ears, that it can be used when the time of the Messiah comes. They can teach the soul and the message, not to oppose. But by them understanding through those who have become Messiahs, to give from their souls to these to elevate, the job is made easy. The school is there and the students are devotedly there. Then there won't be any fight between what they call the Muslims and the Christians. The lamb and the lion will eat and sleep in the same nest. The Christians and the Muslims will sleep and pray in the mosque and in the same church in the name of their souls, not in the name of religion. That is used to create so much conflict for the benefit of those who were the hyperactive children. The time has come, the time of change is here. And as I said, my wish is my command. If it's your wish to see peace, path of peace is laid very clearly. It's the soul of the collective awareness. By giving will create that position of change. No other thing. There is no pen in the soul of the man. And I'm sure once you go into the universal community, you will never see anything written but the balance of the fields of the soul of the existence. Try to be humble enough not to become arrogant in the power that you have understood and you possess. Otherwise, you'll fall in the same path of the church and the mosque. This is what we promised, and this is what we have delivered. We have to understand the operation of the soul, and we have to understand the soul of the man is a star in the cosmos of the universe. If we compare the soul of the man and many of us, 7 billion in one collection, Earth is like a galaxy with so many stars. When we look in the depth of the universe, we see galaxies with hundreds of millions of stars in it. So is the planet Earth. It carries 7 billion beautiful stars, which are the soul of the man. Carries with it soul of so many trillions of animals, plants, and everything else. So if you look, when someone who does not see the physicality of the earth and its content, what do they see? They see a galaxy with so many beautiful lights shining, each one according to their strength, each one according to their position. An infant has a beautiful soul, so has the old man. To those who do not see the physical dimension of this planet, but they see the strength of the field, we are clusters of stars. The human race, every single soul, no one from a distance sees that's the soul of a fisherman, that's the soul of the cosmologist, that's the soul of a president. They all shine irrespective of the physicality. This is the magic. This is what the new science has to bring to man. When we look to our soul, we see nothing but a star in the other souls. And this is the break. This is the understanding. This is what all these teachings are about. Coming to mature to the next level, to understand in the deep space, the universe is the oyster for those souls who serve. Then man is ready to go into space. Then man is ready to become part of the universal community which has been promised. I never promised you heaven. I always promised you the elevation of the man to join the family. And now you have the key. It's you who has to open the door to understand, if I can raise the soul of these people or millions of other souls, that the physical life on this planet changes, then I'm worthy to be part of the universal community. To be there to serve, to expand. To be there, to be part, that in the cycle of life of universe, I become, in being part, I become part of the totality. When man reaches that point, a new dimension in the strength of the soul of the man will appear, which is beyond imagination of understanding of the physical life. It's the gate to the opening of the new life, in a new dimension, which is beyond imagination of what you might call a new beginning, a new cycle. Which that cycle carries with itself the origin of the creation of life in the universe and in the universe. It's the elevation of the soul to serve become the key, not a throne of the physical life. The time is right. The time has come for the man to go through this process.
Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. keshefoundation.org/donate.
plasma products found at keshefoundation.org/store. Soothing, reusable plasma eye and migraine mask. Eliminate eye fatigue and relieve stress in eye area. European certified medical device. Massaging plasma insoles. Bring comfort back to your feet and energize your legs. European CE certified medical device. Antiseptic plasma liquid hand soap. Promotes well-being and relaxation with protective plasma formula. CE certified. One Soul Plasma T-shirt. GAN's formula within the symbols and stripes brings mind, soul, and body into balance. European certified. Pain Relief Pen. Emits a concentrated plasma field at point of pain, efficient up to 3 centimeters below the skin. CE certified. The Magravs Energizer and Alkalizer raises pH and energizes water through magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Pain Relief Pad, a result of years of research in nanoplasma technology with magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Visit the online store at keshefoundation.org/store or find a distributor near you. Tax and shipping not included.
The development of the Keshe Foundation medical equipment has resulted in many different devices within the Foundation's medical inventory. One of these medical devices is the plasma ball unit. The plasma ball unit mainly consists of several spheres which are mounted on motors and therefore rotate at certain speeds, which can be regulated using a controller. Inside the spheres, different types of ganses in different physical states can be placed. The combination of ganses of various field spectra are used and concentrated to balance the fields and hence the matter of the human body. The plasma ball unit is built of high-quality materials and can be applied very flexibly. Thanks to the articulated arms mounted on a casted frame, every shielded motor can be moved freely in all directions. Materials used for the plasma ball unit are laser-cut and powder-coated stainless steel for the base frame, on which 3 sockets for the carbon fiber rods are fixed. On these vertical carbon fiber rods, the articulated arms, mainly out of carbon fiber, are mounted and can be moved freely. Thanks to the articulations, many geometries can be achieved to address every part of the body and create different types of concentrated fields. A maximum of 8 articulated arms can be mounted on a single casted frame, and 2 frames can be placed opposite one another so as to increase the number of articulated arms that can be positioned around a lying body. The plasma ball unit is a CE-certified medical Type 1 device and is delivered as a kit. Most of the components are pre-assembled, and completing the assembly takes a maximum of 15 minutes. The price of a plasma ball unit with 4 articulated arms is €4,900 excluding VAT and shipping. Payment by installments is possible. €2,500 when you order, €1,250 on delivery, and the rest 1 month later. The plasma ball unit can be ordered at http://store.keshefoundation.org. Order today and bring balance back to your life and the lives of those you care for.
Welcome everyone to the 243rd Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, September 27th, 2018. And once again, we will be joined by Mr. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute for today's teaching and unveiling of information from the Keshe Foundation. And I think today will prove to be a very interesting workshop for everyone. And I'm sure Mr. Keshe is anxious to begin. So, Mr. Keshe, are you there?
Yes, good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers, teachings, and in a way, understanding of the new knowledge of space. Uh, as part of our teaching, as we always said, as we're preparing more and more to be able to understand and work within the parameters of the work of the universe, we come to understand one of the main works of um, universal energy is how these energies interact with us, with our body, with the structure of our body. Would we get like what we call infection of the throat or infection of part and organs of the body, or the cancer of certain elements? Would we get these in space? Would we get when we travel to space through the strength of the soul? Would our soul will come across fields which are at the level of its strength, and it will interact with it, and somehow affect its working? This is all possible. This is not something imaginary. We have not, as we've seen, how when a given strength radiation is interacting with the body of the man, it changes behavior of some cells. Don't forget that body, that physicality is created out of the emotion of the soul itself in one way or another. So we'll come to understand that even our soul is and can be vulnerable to the fields which can attach themselves to it once they're at the strength. In the human body, we speak about DNA and RNA. We speak about what we call physical structure and the soul structure and the memory structure. In so many cases, as we develop our knowledge and we enter in a dimension of the universe, we come to understand one of the biggest threats to the life of man in any dimension, be it in a physical dimension or be it in the soul dimension, is interaction with the fields of the universe. And those which will match or be parallel or be able to interact with our physical dimension. In so many cases, we have never thought about these things because to us, these fields are far away. They don't exist. We have been in a cocoon of what we call atmospheric condition of this planet. It helps us, it absorbs most of the radiation. It transfers some of it back into space. But once we are in space and we come across these kind of fields which are much stronger, as for example, we enter towards the center of the galaxies, as we go into the central line of the universe, as us as human will reach more and more closer to the center of the what we call the solar system. Different fields of the strength of measurements as we have, as we spoke about Teslas and 129 and the others last week. These are all a prelude to learn more and more about us and see how these fields affect us. How do we see them? How can we overcome them? As I said in many of my teachings in the past, man in the space will not die much of what we call bacteria and infections. But man will die of viruses, energy packages. Energy packages which have the DNA strength of the body of the man, and in that process will interact with the man. The energy packages which have the strength of the soul of the man, and in that process interact with DNA of the soul of the man. So in a way they become leech onto the leech. They become leeching onto the whole structure. They don't have a physical characteristics, they don't have a physical entity, but they have gravitational and magnetic field strength in part of their composition, which matches one of the pieces of the amino acid of the man, or the elements which are connected to it, being the iron in the blood, being the copper in the muscle, be it the amino acid itself, be it they have a field strength of the carbon, so they lock in. And once they lock in, because they don't have a physical dimension, They carry a massive amount of energy because they are made in that way. They don't have the wastage of physicality. In that process, what we seen, we become, and we call them viruses. Viruses in the plasma technology is the package of energy which mankind needs to understand. Mankind needs to realize. In so many ways, we have not managed to handle the simple viruses of this planet. Those energy packages which have no physical dimensions to what we call amino acid, but they carry energies of the amino acid. A lot of you understand this because it's not a theory to you. You put the orange and you transfer the energy of the orange and the taste of the orange into the cup. There was no need for physicality of the orange. But when you drank the water, you tasted it. So it means it's an energy transfer. It means conformation through a plasma structure. A conformation through maybe the orange amino acids, hydrogen in it is equal to the hydrogen in the water of the cup according to the mixture of the gases you have introduced. These are important, and man has to start looking into it. Maybe we have a first grounds to play with. We know, and we are so many ways have not managed to find how to handle these. When we get touched by viruses on this planet, we go into mayhem and panic because we don't know what to do. You have HIV, you have Ebola.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Are you still there? We might have. Is it my connection or is it Mr. Keshe's? I think.
Yeah, I think he dropped.
Just have
We're not.
to wait
We're
for
not.
it.
Go ahead.
We will need to wait until Mr. Keshe reconnects.
Yeah, I think he just popped out there. Okay, bear with us a couple of minutes here while Mr. Keshe reconnects. And can anyone recall the last few words that he said while we're waiting?
Yes, he said you have HIV.
Yes, I'm back.
Ah,
Can you
thank
hear
you.
me?
Yes, you were talking
Yeah.
about HIV when we disconnected.
Yes, I am there. Yes, and I just saw it when it went off. I see it on my monitor. I'm keeping an eye. So the viruses like HIV, when it hits mankind, we panic with it. We see different flus coming from birds, from pigs, combination of animals. We have no solution for it. The nations surrounded to it to see who gets hit. If we have an infectious disease by bacteria or whatever, we immediately have tablets, we have injections, we do something. But the viruses, we stand back and you go to a doctor, says nothing I can do, we've got to see what happens. Now we understand viruses are packages of energy, which in a way link themselves into the structure of the physicality of the matter state of the body, or what we call the Gans state of the body of the man. And in process, we learn more and more. In the process, we see more and more. And man in space will lose and have more problem with these kind of energy packages than anything else. Because as we travel with the highest speeds across the universe, we'll be touched by more and more. Our own spacecraft in interaction with the different field strength of the universe, like the way the Earth with the interaction of the sun creates different lights, will create different energy packages that some of it might and could be at the strength of the amino acid or the amino acid strength of the soul of the man's plasma direction. So what do? What are the, how can we handle viruses? Or what do we call them? The energy packages. How do we come to understand these more? How do we evaluate? How do we measure them? That we say, okay, this is the strength of this, and this is what I need to do. When it comes to the viruses, we go back, we call it the energy package. It's a dynamic energy package. As you remember, there is very easy way to handle these energy packages. We've been told, we know, we've done this before. So, to the present world of science, the viruses are a menace. There is no solution. To the scientists of the Keshe Foundation, viruses are as anything else. Any virus, any entity, whatever we call it, which has a dynamic plasma, has a problem. Hello? Can I be
Yes,
heard?
we just lost a few words out of the last sentence. So if you could
Yeah.
kind of repeat
So
that.
what happened? Any virus has a dimension of the dynamic plasma. It's energy packed, and it has a structure in it. The plasmas usually we structure, we call it CO2 or whatever, is the same as a plasma of a virus. It has a strength capacity. We have to find out what is the strength capacity of the virus is. There is no difference. So in a way, if we can measure its strength, we develop technologies which we can measure the strength of it. All we need to do, we need to develop a system which works the opposite, gravitational to magnetical, to drain it, to reduce its strength, or one of the factors of the strength in it, which, let's say for example, matched into the amino acid hydrogen strength. Now it hasn't got. We see instantaneously we can reverse any viruses. The beauty of the plasma technology which we have developed is made directly for viruses. There is one of the reasons we brought up the whole technology of the plasma through GANS was as a tool for a space technology for a deep space travel. It allows man to learn in time all what we call different strength of it to apply to what. If the world of medicine, and especially knowledge seekers who are in this field, start working on this pattern, understanding this, there should be no problem for any of us to handle any kind of virus infection. Doesn't matter what it is. We have to find the way it travels. We have to find where it nests. We have to find what is strength in gravitational and magnetical. And in the body of the man, when you have viruses which attach itself to one of its amino acids, then you can use any of the gases which is presently in the position of man. Some of the viruses they have a different strength. We have to look into the elements of the universe, not elements of the planet, to understand the strength of them. Man has only seen a fraction of the magnetic gravitational field. Now we have how many elements on the periodic table? Multiply it by millions. It just needs the condition for it to manifest itself in the matter state of itself. Its cost has a link to the amino acid of it. If you have a soul of the amino acid of Mr. Cohen, which was created on Earth,
Mr. Kesh. We have a bit of a dropout there. Maybe he'll come right back in.
Oh, can you hear me?
We can hear you now, Mr.
Hello.
Kesh.
Okay, sorry about
Yeah.
this. It's just
Yeah.
too much traffic.
So last sentence we heard, if you have the soul of the Kohen which was created here on earth. And then we got interrupted.
Okay. Yes, no problem. If you have the soul of Kohen, which is created on this planet, and you enter in another dimension and you want to manifest yourself, but in that planet, the structure does not allow you to manifest yourself, but it has a connection to one of the amino acid of the soul of the man, and you want to manifest yourself as a being on that planet, that strength could be a virus to you, could be a virus to the soul of the man. Or once you manifest yourself in that dimension, in that physicality, you become, or you make access to your soul through your body to deliver viruses to it, which means it changes its characteristics, it changes its energy. In so many ways, if we look and we change the name of a virus to energy packages of gravitational magnetic fields with structure but no physicality. Let's say, in an easy way to understand, we see a body, we call it an alien. So in a similar way, the virus has not managed to manifest itself in physicality, but has a dimension of the soul which has an energy and dimension. Then we can handle it. Then we can understand it. Then we can create another system which matches it, that it can drain its system or add to a system that it passes the level which is attached itself to. In the present world of science of man, the biggest dilemma is viruses. It's so bad that they just ignore it. We have no solution for it. You walk in with the virus infection into the office of a doctor, he tells you, sorry darling, you have a virus, I don't have medicine for it for you. If it was infection or bacteria, I give you something. This is a virus. You have to wait till it goes out of your body. So if a virus, you wait, can go out of your body or goes through its cycle, it means it has an energy level. You have to wait that energy level is spent on the rest of the cells of the body of the man, by its division of itself, by adding to the others. It doesn't mean that it's disappeared. It means now it spreads its energy, but it doesn't have that effect. It does not mean it will not be there. But at the same time, if it stays dormant and another energy near to come, it comes back up again. It shows itself again, because now it absorbs more energy of itself. It multiplies in energy pack difference, division, but still exists because it has got that link to, let's say, amino acid, or to the salt, or to something which it stays in that level. We've seen this with Ebola. When Ebola hit Africa some 2 years ago, very soon we'll have scientists from Sierra Leone on our panels. You can speak to them, they can tell you directly. When we gave them the key how to overcome the Ebola, they immediately set up the system. They produced what they were told, they put it in the lab, and it was dead instantly. They tried it on humans because it was hitting Sierra Leone very badly. And it worked. Within minutes, people with Ebola were recovering. Because what we did, we introduced to the body another sphere we call the GANs, and we drained the energy. What did the scientists do? They were proud they found the solution for Ebola. They informed, as being the scientists of the university, the government. They went to the presidential palace with their system, and what happened? World Health people being present from America, from a given university. You can read it on the internet. They said you cannot show this. This is impossible. This cannot be shown. Africans are not that intelligent to find a cure or a process or whatever for such a disease. This is beyond your understanding. The scientists picked understood the technology, took it to America. 3 months later, published a paper. Exactly what the scientists in Sierra Leone, on the instruction of the Keshe Foundation, developed and overcome. The scientists did say nothing. They said to them, if you do, you go back, you lose your position in the university, you're finished. They went back, they didn't say anything, but in the university they start producing it and help the nation. Because it was so easy, they could make it again. Because they understood the concept, they understood the process. This goes the same. I saw a talk and presentation in the Universal Council meeting on Tuesday, where they start talking about malaria, typhoid, and everything else, any kind of viruses. Now we have a knowledge. I explained to them, you cannot detail what materials and what you use because we are not doctors, but we can open the knowledge that there is a process that it can be done. And the part of the teaching of today is that we are opening a number of topics in this level. Is virus positions like HIV now can be handled with the new knowledge? It's been tested and some results are very positive. Now we come to one of the biggest menaces to human race. Now we understand how viruses operate. Now we understand the way they operate and where they nest and how they work. One of the biggest menaces to human race has been herpes. Herpes has become a virus and we never had any solution for it. It's an energy pack that it can survive in the middle layers of the skin of the man. Sometimes it goes into the third layer, but usually the inner layer. Sometimes, but most of the time, operates through a tunnel of the outer layer of the skin and inner layer of the skin, because it can travel through is virus. It needs magnetic field protection. If you look at it, this is how it works. If this is the top layer and this is the bottom layer, it's got, as now we know, the skin of the man is made of gans layers and the bottom the same. Now it travels in the magnetic field of the middle layer. If you speak to many scientists who work on herpes, they give you this knowledge. So what I have decided to do today is to open a new chapter in the science of herpes. A new knowledge, a new understanding. It will be published on the Keshe Foundation journal in the scientific side, and becomes the basis for the future and most of the Keshe Foundation scientists to develop it. In the paper, I will release details because it will be a scientific paper. In scientific paper, you can give ratios, what you did, what you used. I have asked the Keshe Foundation team and the new scientists which we brought in to see the publication of scientific papers to help for this paper to be published in this next month or in the November issue. But it will change. You have to understand how bad herpes are. Statistically, in America alone,
Hello, Mr. Keshe. We heard.
can you hear me?
We heard in America alone.
Yeah, yeah.
I've got a chart here if you wanted to look at that.
Yes, just I'm doing, just 1 second. I have to go into it. Statistically, what we see is very, very shocking. It says worldwide we have two type of herpes. We discuss it later on. 3.7 billion people in the world are carry under age of 50, which is 67 the world population, have a HSV, herpes virus of 1, which is usually appears around the mouth, around your lips, we know. Then there is another estimated 417 million people, which is 11% of the world population between 15 and 49, suffer from HSV2, which is usually genetical and appears in the body. Strange enough, a large number of Americans, more than 50 million people in the United States, have genital herpes. One of the cleanest, more advanced nations in the world suffers massive whack on this. And 85% of them are not aware of. Statistically, 42 million Americans are not even aware they have genital herpes. So what we see, this is a menace. The reason we see in the research papers, which is coming more and more, is that because of the structure of the herpes, 85%, according to some research papers, of the ones who have herpes end or lead to Alzheimer's after the age of 65. I have these scientific papers, some are printed, downloaded. So we can see it is one of the most prevalent viruses amongst us, and is right that literally the world of medicine has given up on it. But with what we're going to release today, and the scientific world will come to understand, we will see how much the new knowledge of technology of the Keshe Foundation can change many lives. Herpes now can be reversible. Herpes now can be handled. Herpes, in what I'm going to explain as a scientific paper, is explanation of how the processes can be set. In the teaching, I will not dictate any numbers or figures or material, but I explain the principle behind the way herpes, as I explained now, you understood how it latches itself to the body of the man. Now, the explanation and the process of herpes will be understood fully for the first time, and then we explain how it appears. World of science has never understood. Parts has been done, parts could be understood, but in totality, we have never understood how herpes gets into our system. It affects one more than 1 out of 2 of us. 2 out of 3 of us across this planet has it. Does it lead through Alzheimer's to death, early death? Does it lead to other diseases, other conditions? Statistically, we see in every nation we have this problem. It's part of our structure, it's something which we never knew. We never knew viruses are energy packs, but they have a DNA strength connections that they can enter the body of the man. Can I take back on sharing the screen? Let me explain a new knowledge in the world of the science of man. Then this will open up many researchers in the future. As you know, Keshe Foundation is leading in and started interacting with the world of medicine in a different way, in a very fast way. And as we see, many scientists around the world are listening and taking note. The way we brought other things in, they start researches on it. we have to see two things. Now we know a virus, doesn't matter, whatever it is, we call it, is an energy pack. It needs itself to be attached to an amino acid. So in that process, once it finds the energy pack with energy structure, because it has a DNA, it can control itself, it can mutate to absorb more. It's a living thing. It's like us looking for food to survive. It looks for energy that it can take. So it attaches itself to Mr. Cohen. Let's say it links itself to O because it's the gravitational field of it, or to the weakest one of the hedge. So now we see is it needs that connection. It finds that connection. But how does it enter the body of the man? It needs a weak point. It needs a point of entry. One of the point of entries, if we can show, this is the lip of the man. As you know, I'm the worst drawer in the world. Then you see what happens. We usually see herpes in these regions around the mouth or in these positions. Why? At this point, this is not what you see. This is not what you imagine. What reality is, there's a space gap. The shape is like this. Here is the skin of the man, external part. Here is the internal part, the sausage, the breathing part, where we eat. These two are two different structures. So what happens here, there is a weak point in the structure. And the weak point in the structure is this. It's like woven chain. It's like, as you see in your nano layers, is open space. It's like sewing a leather to a cotton. Two different materials. You cannot put them together. You cannot fuse them. They are two different structures. And so what happens if this energy here, as you see, has its own characteristics? As we said in the teachings of the medical teaching, going back 3-4 years ago, every skin has 3 layers, as I explained just before. So when you look at the structure, this is 3 layers of it. 1, 2, and 3. When you look at this one, it's the same. It has 3 layers of it. And the 2 bottom layers somehow link up. But the middle layers of the same salt content, because they carry the blood in the level of balance of it, which you understand later on, they have a space gap. What it means now, they link up, but now the virus comes into this space gap. Now it's got a place to live. Why do we see it on the corners usually? Because this is where the space gap continuously fixed to one point moves close and open. To the points of flexibility, we see it coming up because that's the point where it can enter. And when it enters, it has found a nest. It enters into the middle layer and it stays there. Now, we see the existence and how and the reason we see this energy pack, which is equal to the energy pack of the amino acid of the 2 levels of the inner and outer becomes a nesting ground for the virus. Because don't forget, is 6 layers now. Is not 3 layers. You have 3 layers of the skin and you have 3 layers of the inner tube. So in that position, there is a gap. It sits in there because the field strength matches the field strength of the virus. In that position, sitting in the middle section affects the salt content of the layer, usually on the skin side, because the lip side, the inside is fluid. You carry a lot of fluid, it's continuously changing. So what happens, the change of the salt due to the energy creates blisters, and the salt burning, you see it as blisters on the skin. Then other infection sits in because of the energy level, and you have all these, what we call the virus of herpes. We call it herpes. So if we understood this, we go to the next step. That is why we see herpes of a given strength which appears only at the mouth. Now, if the herpes moves inside, it's a different story. Now the condition here is different acidity of all the enzymes and everything else in the mouth. It has to mutate to become stronger that it can survive this position. You have a cut in the internal part. It goes in the gap of the 3 layers of the skin. Now it becomes stronger. Now it becomes what we call number 2. At strength, because now it has to handle the liquid inside the body of the man, which is a composite, where the skin was slightly different. But there is a big problem with the whole thing. The skin, if you look at it, the skin of the man is part of the brain of the man. Now that the virus has entered the middle skin, immediately travels into the brain of the man, through the middle skin. But at the same time as the other side, which is the lip skin, is connected to the internal, but works in a different dimension, links up. So what happened? The virus through the middle layers of the skin of the man moves into the brain, because it's made of the same, it's the same transformation. And when it moves into the brain, the strength of the virus, if this is the brain, and this is a part of the memory of the man, has the strength that it sits in that space. And this is the reason we call it Alzheimer's, due to herpes. In a way, you put a jammer on it. You put, the way you package and you jam a frequency, this herpes has a capability at the strength, because it came through the middle section, through the membrane of the body of the man. It has a strength that strength fits into the strength of the memory part and produces what we call Alzheimer's. It has a strength. As we grow older, our brain function changes, and on the given strength, it matches total blockage. You know, you send a message and they block you. This is what it does. Now we understand the whole process of Alzheimer's through herpes. It's taken me nearly 25 years researching into this. It's been one of the biggest dilemmas in the world of science. If you go back into the research papers which I brought with me to Belgium when I came, herpes was part of it. I could not understand why this thing cannot be solved. But now we can understand more how this research will end up. It'll bring a lot of shocking news to a lot of you. Now what we saw here in the herpes, which has gone into the mouth, which has become stronger because it's a stronger dynamic system and it has gained energy. The way the herpes from the outside moved through the middle skin to the brain of the man, now the game changes. The game changer is very, very interesting because through the same process of the skin, this is the mouth of the man, this is your intestine, and you understood by now, you have 3 layers of it. The herpes moves down the middle layer of the esophagus, the stomach, the intestine, the bigger intestine, and where does it go? To another point, which again has 2 phases. The phase of the dynamic dimension of the internal organ, and the same story as before, the skin of the man. This is the anus. This is how herpes moves from the mouth directly into the process, into the genital. And it's stronger. But 2-way happens. You have the reproduction of the woman, or you have the reproduction of the man. Look at it. Again, the same place they turn up is interface. At the point of the same, the foreskin of the penis, you have the same position. You change into the tube to go inside. So the interface comes again into operation, and we see herpes on the, what we call genitals. It can do the same, but we might not see it in the mouth. But the interesting part of the whole story is the body of the man carries bone structure. This bone structure, if I can take it out, this is your spinal cord, this is your hip, and these are the rest of your parts. This is your head and the rest of it. Does this remind you of anything you've done in the space technology? Thank you very much. You remember the cup and the orange? Transferring the energy of the orange into the water of the cup? Now look, what's the cup? The cup is the hip of the man. Up to now, doctors tried to sort out the problem of the herpes 2, as they call it, in the interaction with the creams and everything else. It moves, it cannot be done. Because with the new research which is published recently, we understand, and this supports what we explained years ago, that now the hip of the man becomes the cup. The virus, what we call of the herpes, now sits in the hip of the man. This is why doctors could not solve it. They keep on touching and doing things, but it comes back. Because when this cup energy reaches a point, it releases the energy into the same layers, voila, you have flaring of the disease. Now we understand the full process of the herpes, be it 1 or 2, is the same. It's just in a different strength. Now we understand from the Alzheimer's all the way to genitals. How we can do it? This is why we have two different types. But in fact, one is stronger, one is weaker. The stronger travels through the intestine because there's too much acids and everything else which has to go, and then it travels through. But there is one point which the world of science again has not understood. We have not, doctors have not looked that herpes appears inside the body of the man too. Herpes appears in different locations internally. At the entrance, at the point of the change of the same as the lips and the skin, esophagus and stomach. It's different material. Now we should look for signs of herpes in the opening of the stomach. The stomach and the small intestine. In small intestine with the bigger intestine. So if we look in general, herpes is a totality of the disease across the body of the man. This changes the game. Herpes, with a new understanding of the plasma technology, should be able to be managed. Should be able to be reversible. You have to understand, I use the word should, because the last time we explained about the cancer, some nations took action against the foundation. That they can cure, they can reverse. No. We use a very direct positioning, but in a scientific paper we publish, will be very precise because it's a scientific paper. Now, the condition of herpes, if you understood, handling the totality of the body of the man, can be handled. If those of you who work in research, those of you who are doctors in the doctor sides and the rest, want to understand the process, we will publish the paper. Paper is published scientific, has to be accepted as it is, without peer review. This is how we give a strength to Keshe Foundation journals, what we call scientific paper section of it, the journal of it, by revealing the most advanced knowledge that doctors can work with. I'll make this journal one of the most prestigious journals scientifically that the world scientists will come to look at. Where there is no peer review, when there is everybody has a say in what they want to do, how they want to handle it. For the first time, we understand the whole process of herpes from top to toe. Why do we see herpes on some points of the arm or the leg? Go back and look at the structure of the where it is. There could have been a puncture in the life of time. It could have been a damage to the skin at that point, where again the repetition of the two lips, the weakness of the middle layer appears and it manifests itself. It just needs to get underneath and few dots, the energy transfer. Herpes in every level with a new knowledge of the plasma technology is reversible. Because what did you do? You remember the patches? You remember a very simple way when we spoke about the condition of when you had a cancer or you had a piece of metal in your body, you wanted to remove it. When you have the piece of metal there, you create a ratio of 4:1 or 20:1 creation of the fields. Now, very simple. Take extract from the herpes itself when it flares up. Create the GANs of it. and place it in the same ratio. It should not take more than a few days or weeks to be able to drain the system. But don't forget the hip. Don't forget the body of the man with the intestine. Don't forget the boss on the top. Remember what I did, and our friend explained to us how we managed to deplete the salt from the foot of Naomi. We took the urine of Naomi, made a gans of it, we patched it. What was supposed to be weeks, it was gone within days. The same applies here. When you have a fire, you don't fight it with the water, it's so big. You burn more fires around it that it has no more to burn when it comes to it. You handle, somebody's microphone is open please. You handle the virus directly this way. You can even handle genitals directly the same. Then you remove the energy from it that is not there to flare up. But what was not understood, that the herpes sits within the whole structure of the body of the man, not where it flares up and we see it. I'll try to publish the paper in a full details with collaboration of the whole Keshe Foundation team in the background. 2/3 of human race suffers from one thing which is not to be, and is there. The point comes, where does the herpes start with come from? It comes from brain of the man itself. It's the release of the energy from the inner soul of the man, touching the invisible memory part of the body of the man. That's why it goes back to where it came from. That's why it affects the memory part. I explained to you to understand fully. Many of you, in your sleep, you dream. Some of the dreams are nice and some of them are not so nice. But if the dream is at the strength that it endangers your life, if the memory is at the strength which can jeopardize your life, imprisons the physicality, this is what you don't want to remember. So you create a field force in the balance of the memory that you don't want to remember, but because it hasn't manifested, you haven't done it while you're awake, is part of your, what you call soul operation, the energy transfer appears on what you cannot speak, which is the lip of the man. And that's why when you have a very horrible dream, you get a blister on the side of your mouth. That's the beginning of the process. Now we understand the whole process of the creation of the what we call herpes, coming from this inner structure, and that's why it goes back to where it came from. That's why, because it has no memory, it wants you to remember that horrible thing or whatever. We call it a heat temperature of dream. You know, you get a blister on it. Now we understand the whole process from how herpes has become to be. Doesn't matter where you are in the universe, on this planet, you get it. Because your soul is creator of it. But it has not found the physicality at the time of when you're awake that your eye observes. You see it with the eye of the soul of the man. You had a dream, you captured, they put you somewhere, you want to escape, it's too frightening, but you wake up. But the energy is not there to memorize the energy part of the feeling. And where does it hit? You could not speak. Voila. Mouth is the point of speaking. It's where the energy will transfer. You remember what we said? If you have a problem with your son as a man, you get a cancer of prostate, and it's proven to be by more of scientists, it's the same process. But this time, herpes is a condition created by the soul of the man without the interaction of the physicality, but knowing where he has to go, because you want to remember that that doesn't happen to you. It goes back to where he came from. Now we even understand why herpes damages or interacts at the memory side, because you want to forget that horrible point. You remember, if you read the paper which I published called ILS, a death wish which comes true, this is another process, very much, but directly from the soul of the man. ILS is a wish through the soul that the physicality cannot handle. Termination of contract, you call it. Now we understand the full process. We understand even the herpes is not from outside, it's the creation of our own soul. And as now we understand the process of the creation and the process of work of the plasma, as our body is a container of gases, and we've seen how doctors have handled different conditions with transfer of energy, we need herpes itself to handle herpes itself. If you have a lump of calcium in your body, you need a calcium in a different strength to be able to move it. Dr. Rodriguez has shown us, other doctors, scientists have shown us, herpes will become the same. Now understanding this knowledge, no virus should be a danger to man, even in space. I developed this technology for man to be safe in space, and you have to understand the work of the viruses, or what are called energy packages without physicality, that it can save your life in space. Universe is packed with herpes 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 million. Once you know how to walk, you can jump, you can dance, you can do whatever you like. Now I have taught you how to walk. 2/3 of the world population suffer from it. We never knew how it comes. Now we know it's the creation of ourselves. The way we created through our souls, the structure and muscles of our heart, our lung, our intestine. Now we understand herpes is a condition of the soul of the man, in a condition that releases such a huge pack of energy from the soul of the man, in a condition of interaction with other souls that cannot find physical position. But between the two, the gap, the salt is so precise that it finds its way there. And if you carry the same emotion and you kiss another person on the same space gap between the skin and the lip, or what we call the inner tube, you transfer it into the middle layer, they get it. Because you have a copy DNA. Herpes, in any shape or form, be it the herpes of universe, be it the herpes of planet Zeus, now you can handle. Many scientists, many world health authorities have been looking to find a solution for this. Now the solution is there. This is a gift to humanity. If those who understand can apply it, and herpes become a story of the past. It's the memory of the soul of the man on the physicality of the man. The way it chooses the color of your hair, the way his soul chooses the color of your eye. The soul in the interaction in time of life of the man does the same. We've seen its transportation across the body of the man. We've seen the way it comes in and leaches onto. We've seen how herpes itself as a virus travels through the body of the man and at intersections of the change has to mutate to be able to move across, because now the faces of top layers link together, middle layers link together, the bottom layers link together. So as it's going, it travels through the middle skin from the mouth to the
Hello, Mr. Keshe. I think he's dropped temporarily. I think the last line was from the mouth. Anybody else fill in the complete sentence there? I think he said the herpes travels through the middle part of the skin to the mouth.
Yeah, that's where he left off.
hello, I'm back again. Can you
Yes,
hear
hi,
me?
Mr. Keshe. Yes, we
I
heard.
know where you stopped. No problem.
Okay, very good. Thank
I
you.
keep an eye on it. So what we see now is the process of understanding how every virus in the world of the creation can be handled. Be it AIDS, be it HIV, be it Ebola, be it anything. Now that we understand, these are what we call memory packages of energies that they can mutate, and they live, they get fat, they collect more energies, and once they reach a level, they travel to another position. Now, every type of any disease, which is what we call virus or energy pack connected, is reversible. It's a process. This is why in the foundation we don't call it treatment or cure or whatever, because it's a process. Now we understand the process. We understand the process of its creation, we understand the process of its transfer, we understand the process of how we can balance it out of the body of the man. Because once you deplete it from its energy, it's gone. It's not something which can be done in a matter of a day or two. The body of the man is dynamic, it mutates. You have to have persistence, you have to understand it, and you have to be able to develop new ways of developments of viruses, because now it can mutate. You have to be able to mutate with it. The only way you mutate with it, if it occurs, you pick up the liquid of it, you pick up the inner skin of it, you make GANs of it, and use itself against itself to transfer its energy out of the body of the man. It's the first time human race has an answer for all the viruses which has been threatening man. Be it influenza, be it other flus, be it AIDS, HIV, and the rest. But nothing has endangered life of the man as much as herpes. Now we know, we understand, and we can add to the science of the man that through the Keshe Foundation, you as knowledge seekers, doctors and whatever, I'm sure many of you have been touched by it. I'm sure many of our listeners have been told that they are aware or not aware, have this condition. Now you can help yourself. I tried to release a paper on it to be published, but I've asked the team in the background to make the transcript of this teaching as part of the scientific paper to be submitted. And I ask the transcribers in the background, transcribe this section as fast as possible and send it to the webmasters that they can have it ready for the publication this month. If we can take one man of this pain of the lifetime, we have served our purpose to be here. This is part of the process which now we have to be ready for a space. If we cannot handle such a small virus with such a weakness that has caused havoc in the human race from the time the first man had the first horrible dream, through the soul which had no dimension of physicality, then we understand the seed of it. In a Tuesday's teaching, I mentioned 2 or 3 times, I'm ashamed to be in the body of the man. And I received some complaints. Why do you say this? Because the body of the man suffers too much. We live to enjoy life. We don't come to suffer. And it's shameful to see to suffer due to true act of the people, let alone to environment of the body of the man. It's shame to suffer. What for? Living, existing has to be a pleasure at every point of it, even at the point of transition from one dimension to another. We should celebrate life and not to suffer with life. Viruses will become and has been part of our lives. Now we know how to handle it. Now we know how to allow our body to go through the emotion of reversing it. We understand the process from A to Z for the first time in the creation of man. Every one of you, millions of listeners around the Keshe Foundation, around the world. You can do, you can listen. I know, and many of you know, Keshe Foundation reaches millions of people around the world. And many people act on it, they use it. And I know we reach many, many places because I've been places I could never imagine. And people walk on the street and they ask you, are you Mr. Keshe? So we must be that well known that people listen, they find solution through us, that on the streets from China in Beijing to the streets in Italy, in France, and everywhere else, we are recognized. I'm recognized by my face. Keshe Foundation followers should be recognized by their soul. Teach it. If you live in a neighborhood of 100 people, you should understand 67 of them suffers from it. If you live in America, you should know over 800,000 people a year are infected by this disease. That is 2,000 people a day. That is 100% every hour, and nearly 2 people a second, just only one country, because they are good in keeping statistics, are infected by it. Now we have a solution. Test it and add it to my paper as a testimonial. But understand what you are doing. Next time you have that boil on your face and they tell you you have a herpes, take pieces of it. take all the liquid which comes from it, make a gas of it, add it to CO2, and add it to zinc oxide, the way you make your boxes. Because it has the interaction of the physicality of connection and the electric as a brain, and it comes from the emotional part of the brain of the man. There are no muscles in the brain. Then you understand the effectiveness of it. If you as Keshe Foundation supporters start doing this, you are suffering or the others do, then you will understand how to do it and how it can be done, and teach it freely. Once I release the paper, hopefully I'll try to work with the head of the Keshe Foundation, Ella, and the new team of papers in the background who are there. If I get a chance in the next few days, we do a first publication, maybe we modify it in the next few days, and we release the second paper of it. This is a gift to humanity. I could make millions out of it. But again, as it is in the Keshe Foundation, the knowledge is free. You got to understand, learn it, and teach it. Very much as you teach in respect to other aspects of the technology. There are people who want to publish the paper on malaria and other diseases. I support you, but do it as a scientific paper. We've done a lot of research on it. We add to it as a collective paper, and it has to be done in a way that malaria can be eradicated. I've done it. I think if I can see him here, he can tell you. Does anybody see Alex?
Yes, I'm there, Mr. Keshe. Good morning.
Pardon?
I'm there. Good morning.
Hi, darling. Alex, would you like to tell us what happened with you with your malaria a year ago?
Yeah, I came to Ghana and then I had malaria, and then you advised me to use the gums of magnesium and zinc oxide, which I did, and then the malaria went away.
Have you had any more malaria attacks since you came to Ghana last year?
No.
Were you spending time in hospital all the time with it?
No. I used to, just came, but after taking the treatment, it all went. I never had malaria again.
You haven't had malaria since I made you the, what they call the water of life.
Exactly.
Alex was in hospital, I think 2 or 3 weeks before you come and see us sick in Ghana.
Yeah.
And you walked back healthy, man, and since you haven't had
malaria since then.
This is how easy it is. He was getting malaria attack more or less once a month or every couple of months?
Every 3 weeks, to be precise. If I take the anti-malaria medications, which I know it doesn't work, it gives me more complications than curing the malady itself. So after taking the guns she gave me, just went. It never came back actually.
You haven't had any of it. It's so simple because it's a virus. Thank you very much, Alex.
Thank you.
It's that simple. Because we understand the process. He calls the treatment, we call it the process. We understand how it comes, where it comes, and where it goes. When you get infected by malaria from the animal, or from the fly, whatever, what does it do? It bites you. It inserts its energy pack in the middle layer, exactly like herpes. That's all it does. Now it finds a new dimension. It finds the channel to fly and go through the brain and everywhere else. Any disease which gets into the middle layer finds itself to the brain, and it finds continuity because in the brain of the man finds replication point, like a heartbeat. It reaches a saturation point, and when it gets that saturation point, you get attack. Because it absorbs energy similar to it. Because don't forget, the bite of the mosquito carries the DNA and amino acid which is made of the body of the man, near enough. So it's easy to travel. All you need to do is to reverse the energy pack. But it has to be done in a way that we understand the whole process. When you drink a gans water, it's not just a water which goes through your body, because this is the understanding of the present man, and that is, we think when we drink water in our intestines, the water goes through. That's all it's going to be. And it's a water. But when you drink a gans water, plasma of it, not the gans itself, what do? It's not any more water. It's an energy field. It covers your skin. It covers every part of your body, because it goes, it creates its own aura. It creates its own new field dimension. It's amazing how far it goes. In a recent test, in agricultural test in China, we have seen an amazing result. 100-meter field. Applying gans on this end, we can detect it, the peak of the fields like this. 50 meters away, we still see the field effect. 75, we still see the field effect. This proved to us that the gans materials have a spherical shape. If you put it here, it covers this. Because we had the opportunity over 4 weeks trial to see how it goes, and it's this shape. It's not as if you water it, if you don't water the field next door, you get this. So when you come to the new space technology, now that we take man, we have to solve all the problems of man, and what we call RNA without the DNA, energy packs. Actually, they have a DNA of themselves, but it's an energy pack that it keeps the shape. But it has a memory of itself as a field. So now you have this, and one of the strengths of it, if you remember, if you look, you understand this very, very easily as a knowledge seekers. When you have a CO2, it's all the same plasma. You don't see two different plasmas, two different materials. If in the matter state, if you have a oxygen and you have a carbon, you see two, you can separate it. In a plasma, we cannot separate it. It's one plasma. But we carry two strengths of O and C. Where O sits on this way, the carbon is here of the lower strength. But it's all on the same structure. Where in a chemical binding is this. If you understood this, solving the problem of viruses in the universe should become again a child's play. we have to understand the totality of the process. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. We had Rui with his hand up here for quite some time. Maybe, or John, if you want to go ahead as well. But Rui was...
Hi, good morning. It's Rui speaking. Morning,
Hi.
everyone. Yeah, I don't know if it's very important question, but comes to my mind. The same process to deal with the virus. Can you explain us how the colloidal silver and the oxide chlorine works with the virus?
You have to go, it doesn't work on every virus. Silver has affinity of the common denominator field effect. I've explained this in other teachings in the past when we spoke about other parts of the development of the science. The what they call silver whatever, it's very much is a monoatomic. So it even is in a matter state, is a nanomaterial, which nanomaterial have their own field. This is what the silver works. If you look at it as a plasma, you are like this. But when you look at your nanomaterials, you dusted is this. It still has a field. When you convert to the GaNs, it's not a matter state, it's a field state only. But when it's in the nano state, and what you call silver is a nanomaterial. So it has a sphere of effect. And it doesn't work on all viruses because it's limited to given its strength.
And the same is with the chlorine dioxide, yeah?
Chlorine is a different thing. Chlorine is a cleaning agent that has an affinity in different direction to the bonding. We have it in our what do you call it, in our body. That works in a different way. That's totally different. One works on chemistry, one works on nanotechnology.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
maybe John, John Bleming can go ahead there now.
I have two questions. The first question has to do with, I'll say, elevating the soul. If we connect our soul to, let's say, the soul of our higher self or the soul of God, are we able to infuse any of our GaNs material to a higher level vibration, if you will, a higher, they have a consciousness. So the question is, can they be elevated to more than just being irregular GaNs?
In so many ways,
This is another part of teaching. But maybe, as I said, you bring the subject on the table and I'll teach you. I was writing this to one of the knowledge seekers yesterday, and maybe it's time to teach. That's why it came to be written yesterday. You speak about higher level, higher order.
Yes.
Let's go back to something and understand a new understanding of life, because this is what you need. This is where the problem of the man is. I was writing this to the head of the Keshe Foundation, Ella, sometime this morning in part of my conversations with her. I can dig it out or she can read it. I think it's Ella, if I remember correctly. We have got used to feeding ourselves with the physicality. Food, water, air. And with it, we feed partially. We provide energy at a given strength through the soul of the physicality. We feed our soul. This is what we do. This is something man never understood. What we do in reality, what we have done, what man has done to himself, is this, that. Let me clear this out. We eat food through our mouth. It goes into our intestine. Part of energy of it energizes not only the cell of the DNA or RNA, part of it energizes the soul of the cell. And the soul of the man, if you look at it, because it's balanced to it, and now moves a slightly higher energy, takes from it for its bottom order of the fields, if you look at it for here. So we eat food partially to feed our own soul. By conversion. But we forgot something. The soul itself led to the creation of the man, the physicality of the man. By collective energies of the soul of the egg and the sperm and the womb of the mother, we created this soul, which by its interaction of its fields, with the interaction of the environment, led to the creation of the physicality of the man. Now that you're in a space, how are you going to feed this soul? For it to exist, it needs to absorb. The way now it used the soul of the physicality to feed itself, now in the space needs to be fed. Now you understand. You're talking about a higher soul. If this is your soul to be fed, you need to tap into the higher energy. Man has to learn how to feed his soul in the space. And if you go back to the teachings, what I say, man shall not kill or nothing. Because we have to go back and learn about how to feed our souls, that through the soul we feed the body of the man. Thou shalt not kill. There is no need for killing, destroying anything. In a space there is no cows and sheep to kill and eat. You call it higher yourself, that you can change the soul to change the physicality. This is the whole purpose of my teaching. This is why we come on this planet, to teach this to man. It's time to learn. And it's amazing. I thought about it and I wrote it this morning, and you bring the subject up. Which means Now the soul of the man is mature to understand the truth. In reality, if you look at it, we need to understand this. And if we do, and if we understand, then we can go further in the whole totality of the understanding of the work of the soul of the man. Ella, am I allowed to read the communication?
Of course.
Are you there?
Yes.
Or would you like to read it? I enjoy conversing with Ella to teach. It's very nice.
Where do I start from then?
Wherever you want. I can read it if you want.
Yes, you can. Please.
It says, but we have the soul of the man, which itself is creator of this leech of physicality. So what becomes is our soul is a virus of the planet itself. We need to teach our soul to feed our physicality and not our physicality our soul. This is what I've been trying to teach and gradually getting there. Go back to my teaching. This is my message and no one gets it. That is why I teach about the soul. Change of a habit is difficult. It is the soul which creates the physicality and its responsibility, and it's its responsibility to find a new way to feed it. We have to understand this and go back to our soul. Now you are enlightened. And now you understand where my teachings are heading to. The man in the space lives through his soul and not his physicality. And no crime. And it is always there as a master. So now the purpose of the teaching comes to one point. You are all waiting for the zinc to change the man. The whole purpose of the teaching is to teach the man to go back to his soul to feed his physicality. You call it at a higher order, a higher level. There is no higher level. The higher level is the field of the universe, of the higher strength to feed the man, to be able to, the soul of the man, that through it, it can feed the physicality of the man, that the physicality of the man does not need to kill. It's very much to the point. It's very much.
I'm sorry.
Pardon?
By the same token, we can elevate the GANs as well.
Of course.
Okay.
As you understand this, the more you absorb, the higher level of the understanding, the higher level of the soul of the man. And somewhere down the line, you change to the point of physicality that then you decide how to change that point of physicality.
So my second question has to do with, and it may sound a little bit strange, but there's a purpose for me asking it, is with our spaceship, is it possible that we have created the fields of the spaceship and that we can't see them? Or will we,
in so many ways, the answer for you is, I always said, people will take this knowledge according to their intelligence. If you just change a few words in the same sentence, It's us who has to see the dimension of our physicality. So, is the spaceship of the soul of the man the physicality of the man, or can we extend it that we see beyond the physicality of the man?
So possibly we've already created our spaceship.
We always have. But we decided that this spaceship which is created.
I think we lost you. Can you repeat
hear me?
that again? We lost you.
What do you mean you lost me? Where?
When you were explaining your answer.
Just the last sentence.
What I said is that it's your soul which created your physicality. Now, if you understood this, as I said, the soul of the man accepts the condition according to the spaceship of this planet to manifest itself. What about if we move and change the position of this planet, the conditions of this planet? In the world of the science, we call it evolution. But this time around, we have to allow our soul to evolve, that our physicality follows it. The evolution of the time according to the physicality of the man is very cumbersome. It's very difficult.
Thank you for that explanation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kesh. Is there more on that, or shall we take a question from Ekmar, who had his hand up here? Would that be okay now?
Yes.
Okay, Ekmar, are you ready to open your microphone there?
Yes. Hello, my name is Ekmar Eckel. I'm German, but I'm living in Thailand. And I have the question, if we are successful removing the herpes from our body, does that mean that we can remember more of our dreams? Because you said it is coming.
We remember the dream. We remember the dream. We chose to ignore it. Because it's another dream. You wake up and you say, I had a horrible dream. And if you look, when your herpes started, unless you didn't get it from somebody who transmitted it to you, you create a, how can a man in the middle of the jungle have a herpes, never been in touch with no man? But he had a fright of a tiger eating him. And that's all he could see, a tiger and a lion or whatever.
So right now I cannot remember any of my dreams. When I wake up, I don't know what I have dreamed last night.
So take with you a video camera in your dream and give it to your soul. We'll record it for you. It's the position that we choose, because our soul has a memory bank of itself. I made man in the image of myself. If the brain of the man has a memory to remember things, it has to come from its creator, otherwise you don't need to have one. So when you go to your soul, there is a bank of memories. This is what I explained before, and I repeat it again. The time, if you last with me long enough, I'll let you hear, if you've been present, the voice of the Christ. Because your soul, the soul of who made you, who was present, spoke with the Christ. or saw him will tell you how he looked. Surely not blue eyes and not blonde hair. We didn't have those in Middle East. Unless he had a European father. And then that's a very big crime over here. As my mother told me once, I said, how did Jesus look? He said, look at yourself, you see it in yourself. It comes from your bloodline. But I said, he's got a blue eyes. He said they can fancy whatever they like. The truth doesn't change. This is part of the process of understanding and being truthful with oneself.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. We have a question from Benjamin, if that's okay. Benjamin, can you open your microphone? Would you like to go ahead?
Yes. Hello, Mr. Keshe. So I'm Benjamin from Austria, and I have a question regarding the teaching today. You were talking earlier about the general processing of viruses, and you've mentioned that we need to know the specific field strength of the virus or the element with which it's connected to. And my question is, would it be also possible if we use a full spectrum of the field strengths, for example, with the basic ganses, and just wait until we get the match with the field strengths of the virus to drain its energy?
What do you mean? Can you repeat yourself?
Yes, so if you have a virus and you don't know the certain field strength of it, and maybe you also don't have the time to make a GANS of it, if you just use a, let's say, dynamic system with the basic ganses, which contain the whole field spectrum, and you just wait until you match exactly with the field strengths of the virus, so you can drain or you can deplete the energy from the virus. Is this possible?
Most probably. It can be done. But you have to make sure you can extract it. We don't have the equipment to do at this moment of time. But on the other hand, you can do what you do with orange, if you understand. Then you have to find a ratio of transfer. Once you made the cup with the taste of the orange on it, then can be done. You transfer it into dynamics, you can transfer it into any GANs, like the orange, but you have other things which are around. You can take it and do it. But what about the next virus which hasn't appeared itself and is somewhere else inside you? How are you going to do that one? We have to develop a technology where we can understand the measurement of the fields of the lower strength composite amino acid body of the man.
Is there something else you'd like to say about that, Mr. Kesh? Are you still there?
Not really, no, because I think I explained, I said what I was going to say.
Okay. We have Jedi who would like to clarify a couple of points. Go ahead, Jedi.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Kesh.
Hello.
So we were talking about this, the possibility to interact with viruses, and that is HSV, and probably most of them. There is a scientist, it was named Raymond Rife Royal. He worked with plasmatic lamps devices some time ago. And this scientist, during all his research, his lifetime, he found out the interaction of these fields with viruses. And so he created a list of 30,000 creatures, infinitesimal, let's say bacteria, whatever, and just found out the frequency that affected them. And he used a microscope that he invented. It was called the universal microscope, and he could see them alive. And that's the way he could carry on this kind of work. Of course, the universal microscope disappeared, and so we don't have any trace of it now. But this
How long ago did he live?
This maybe it's something like 1900. Yes, something like that period. So he was able to. But there are the acts of the process against him, and this guy just died, and he was very pure, and well, he carried on all this. So we have most of this research is even the internet, so we find it. And this is, so someone is helping us from the past, so we have to not to forget all these souls is still there. We have all the
data. Yeah, this if I mean,
it's available.
The data
Most of
is
this
available.
Yes.
And we can repeat it.
Probably creating the same plasmatic lamps. I believe.
But is the plasmatic lamp available?
There are. I think in England and the United States there are some of these lamps, and there is a museum. So this is something we can find out. It's
if
not
we can go into it and bring it out.
Yes.
And this is another addition to the science of what we have. As I said, we always build on the science of the others. This gives a leaping start to how now we have the ganses, we can diversify very fast.
Exactly, but that way, the way he used, it was a dynamic one, and he was using, in fact, light or invisible light or direct emanation. We are using the alchemical side of it, so we are producing ganses. But he was working directly with the energetical fields.
Yes, you see, this is what I explained last week. When you, what you call, make a dynamic ganses in the dynamic system, you create that light, that invisible light. The interaction of the two magnetic field core, dynamic cores, is not just something to rotate. If you look at it, I explained, If I go back this way, when you have the dynamic cores and you have the body of the man, these fields, they interact somewhere, they create that light. It's very much like the earth and the sun, but we don't see it. If we create a system where you can see these light, these interactions, we'll see light bandwidth. What is applicable to the sun and the earth is applicable with the two systems. We just seen medical system released by the Keshe Foundation today, which Dr. Klaus has done.
Well, Raymond Rife died in 1971, and he carried out this research in the 30s. So we should be able to find his machines, part of them.
I think we have more advanced ones with the GAN system we have.
Of course, but he was working especially with the universal microscope. It was made with 6,000 pieces. I mean, and he could see. We're not able to see live viruses now because we have to kill them when we use an atomic kind of a microscope. So that's why he was advanced, because compared to our point of view, he could see the flow. He says
you
that
see the flow of the energy.
Well, he could see viruses emitting lights, and he said that they were pulsating, and there was a red light and a blue light.
Let me go.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to add to the knowledge. These viruses we see in the space. The videoing of space agency NASA has shown us these viruses. They have no physicality, but they have a boundary and they create a light. They are very much like a jellyfish. You know, the one which have a light around them. We need to develop a system that can measure exactly, can be replicated. And for the first time, we have these dynamic plasma systems, which is a matching of what we are for the human race, for what we have on this planet. But at the same time, we have to create a condition of the universe that we can measure them, we can see them. It's very interesting. If you can search for it, bring it out.
Yes.
And we add it to the, what do you call it, to the scientific paper which we put in the journal. Get in touch back with the webmasters or the people who are putting to the Wikipedia will come back to us. We add it. This is a fantastic, it's a beautiful knowledge to have. But again, we go back to one point. We have to make that universal telescope or microscope.
Oh, someone has got it. We have to who's got it.
Maybe Rothschilds have kept it. We go and ask them. The process is that we have to be able to develop a common knowledge to be able to deliver this.
Then there is something about herpes virus that
it mentions. There's a Wikipedia article on Royal Rife, and it mentions about the technique used with the microscope, and it mentions the Mayo Clinic did a report in Science Journal in 1932. And they wrote that in addition to other small particles viewable with the standard lab microscope, small turquoise bodies termed Eberthala typhi, not visible with the standard lab microscopes, were seen in the filtrate using a Rife microscope. And the physician from the Mayo Clinic attributed their detection to the ingenious methods employed rather than excessively high magnification. So, and it also mentions that subsequently details of one of Rife's microscopes, as well as the micrographs obtained, were included in the 1944 annual report of the Board of Regents of the Smithsonian Institution. So this is documented somewhere, these details of the microscopes and some of the actual pictures and so on. And it's interesting, and it goes on to say he's documented what he calls a mortal oscillatory rate for various pathogenic organisms, and to be able to destroy the organisms by vibrating them at that particular rate. Anyway, that's
oh, that's interesting.
There's information on it. Yes. He ended up he died penniless and embittered by the failure of his devices to garner the scientific acceptance.
Maybe now it's time to accept him.
We have somebody above panelists that actually worked with these machines. Dr. Parvis.
Dr.
Parvis.
Or Dr. Parvis.
I see his message. I have been working with the Rife technology for many years.
Is Dr. Parvis online? He can enlighten us. Can he join us?
Hi, Mr. Kish. Can you hear me?
Hello, Dr. Parvis. I have to introduce you that people know you. Dr. Parvis is a member of the Earth Council of Keshe Foundation. And he is one of the eminent scientists, doctors in Middle East in this kind of work. He is highly respected in the Middle East for his work with the jobs he does. Could you explain to us this, please?
Absolutely. Thank you for the introduction. Yes, I've been working with Rife technology, I think, since 2007. This is a technology which is based on resonance frequency. Rife measured the frequency of certain pathogens, and by using sound or light frequencies, he was capable to destroy the pathogens without damaging any other cell around them. The fact is that every cell has its certain vibrations and certain frequencies. This has been used now in military for the very long time too. They can use certain frequencies to disable or dismantle a target, knowing its resonance frequencies, like breaking a glass wine using a very specific sound which does not affect any other piece of glass to be damaged anywhere in the vicinity. So Rife was a genius. He measured the size of these microorganisms when he detected them in the process of cancer being produced in the body of laboratory mice, because he also was a bacteriologist. And by measuring the length of the microorganism which he detected under his microscope, seeing that they cause the cancer, he found out about the resonance frequency and he was capable of destroying them. Like in 1934, the American Medical Association sent him 16 terminal cancer patients from the University of Southern California Medical School. In about 3 months, all of the 16 people were completely free from any sign of cancer. So for that, the American Medical Association created a banquet, inviting everybody who know him to celebrate his success. The problem started when Rife refused to sell his inventions to the American Medical Association, because they said if anything about treating diseases, it has to be under our control, whereas Rife machine was not a medical device. He said it's like a radio system in every house. You don't need to control that. That was the point of disagreement. And of course, the association is powerful. They threatened any doctor to, if they continued working with Rife, they would never be receiving the new license for their work and never be supported. And they isolated Rife. They took him to the court many times. A few years later, somebody set fire in his lab and they burned all his documents and everything, all the measurement that was done. So it was very discouraging, but the invention was kept alive somehow under the ground Of course, all the authority forces were against that because it was a threat to the medical community the way it is now, to the corporate business. So, but some people kept it, you know, in privately in their own labs. They started developing something more. Some pieces are missing. Some information, original information, right information are missing. But we have technology which could be closed in many cases. We cannot use his devices to treat cancer because during 1920s and 1930s there was no chemical contamination by the industry in the environment. Today, millions of tons of obnoxious toxins are being released. They also produce conditions for cancer at the physical level, and they are not calculated in the technology of Rife which we have today. But we do magic sometimes with that. Like, for example, most of the time I see people with warts, like children, adults, on the foot, here, there. It takes about 3 to 5 treatments to completely eradicate the virus, and it doesn't come back. With herpes, it's not that successful. I assume that there has been a lot of mutations and stuff during all these 80, 90 years, and the frequencies are not being matched properly, but it does a lot of miracle other therapies. But after all, this is a frequency device. It works on sound or light frequency. This is not a plasmatic. Plasma light comes with an amplifier called MOPA to enhance the effect of the frequency. Previously, we used to have metal rods under the feet and metal bars in the hand to transfer the frequency to the body of the client. Now with MOPA, you don't need to hold on to anything. You sit on a comfortable chair. MOPA machine is close to you. The frequency starts to light up through the plasma tube on the top, and is good enough for the patient, the client, to receive the frequency without hanging on to anything. So it makes everything a lot more easier. This lamp is somehow close to the plasma lamp that Rife used, because I've been watching his videos and reports for a very long time. But it's not the same. He used other technology. He used plasma balls, but most probably there was certain other elements involved, because Rife was a creator. He could just come up with new ideas to bypass the obstacle. That's the story of Rife.
Okay, can we, with your knowledge, add the dynamic plasma balls which we have and go through the same process?
With the same machine, most probably, I don't think so. And you don't need that.
Not with the same machine.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
talking about the understanding of the process of the dynamic system. Now we have that we can change the strength of it according to what mixer we put in. Reach that point.
Because it works in a different way.
We're talking about in the plasma second, we transfer the energy. But energy at some point, when it interacts with the physicality, creates the frequency. Or what you call
most probably, sure. It makes sense. Most probably, yes. You know, it's about, in my opinion, is about understanding different sciences and apply it, whatever that is possible for better healing. So I believe in integrative medicine. So even though I'm a naturopathic doctor, I work with quantum devices or things like that. I never say no to medications, which are important. And for me as a practitioner, anything that helped me to get a better result with less problem, it is appreciated. I look at this plasma technology and the way that I understand it, it works in a different level. It changes the field. Rife's technology is not changing the field. It is targeting a specific point. You know, it's a different kind of approach.
The frequency, as you said. We're talking about the totality. There he went for individual cell frequency. I understand that. But how, what you understand the process we work. How can we introduce this into the work, or that it can become beneficial much more rapid?
Do you mean anything affiliated with the Rife's work, or no, just this plasma technology you're talking about?
The plasma technology in conjunction with Rife. We should be the only and sacrosanct. Huh? If there is a background, if there is a groundwork, we have to accept.
Of
The
course.
minute we say the rest are wrong and we are right, this is the end of the case.
Oh, absolutely not. You're absolutely
On
true.
other knowledges. So if we see such a point, we have to accept there's a beautiful job done. As I said, scientists are the messengers of God in different form. And if this man has done so much work and we can build on it and give the credit to him, but maybe you understand more because of it, and amalgamate the two knowledge together, that it helps humanity, that's all we are here for.
I am assuming combining plasma technology with Dreyfus technology is going to get a better benefit. As you have mentioned before, please correct me if I'm wrong. I just told you that, for example, in the case of herpes, it makes things better, but it cannot stop the replication of the virus. And that is most probably due to some sort of mutation which has happened during the time. But if the RNA of the virus is keeping the original information, most probably combining plasma, your plasma technology with Rife, will create easier target for the frequency to zap it. You know what I mean? It probably makes the virus become more original, and there you go. As soon as the frequency is effective, it's very effective. It eliminates it very quickly.
Yeah, but you have to find cell by cell. But as we said, the herpes lies across the middle layer of the skin of the man.
True, yes.
So now with what we suggested with the new plasma dynamic systems, or what you call patches, doesn't matter what it mutates to when it appears. If you take it, that's the final mutation, and you can make a GANs of it, then you can zap it with itself.
I would love to try that. I'd like to get some support by the medical system of the Kish Foundation so that we can try this. I have enough patients to try, and they're willing to try the new things.
You know, when I was in Dubai, we did some work together.
Yes.
We talked private, and I'll sort it out that you get it from me.
Yes, yes.
That's perfect. Thank you very much, Dr. Parviz.
It's a pleasure. Good to hear your voice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Parviz. This is what openness of the technology can bring for humanity. Every man brings part of the knowledge in the music of what I call it's a symphony. Many people have to play it, that it sounds good and becomes perfect. And it's fantastic. We'll follow this through and we come back with it. But now that we understand how to use the GANs technology, and now we understand the travel of the herpes through the virus through the body of the man, we can change a lot of things. And beginning. Yes, who's speaking?
So, Jedi. According to the Rife machine, it is a precise device. We are using spinning ganses. This will create a typical kind of scalar wave. So
what
we are
using the scalar waves.
The spinning of the crystals.
What crystals?
The ganses. They are diamonds. There are thousands of millions of diamonds spinning around.
They are not. They are not. They are not crystals. It's a plasma.
It's a plasma, of course,
Total
but it
plasma.
has the shape of a diamond.
No, it has a shape of a sphere. I've looked at many of them on the microscope.
And why would we scalar wave propagating from the
It's
engine?
the interaction. They interact with each other continuously.
So we are using this thousand of different frequencies at the same time.
Millions, billions. It's not frequency.
Okay, so we went the opposite way. Rife just looked for one, and we are using billions.
We have a spectrum of them. Yes.
Yeah. So it's perfect. So we just have to unite the two things, and we have precise.
This is what I said when you put the patches in the front and the back. That's what you do. Because the plasma does not stay at this constant strength all the time. It loses in gravity against the magnetic field and it moves. It's a spectrum. When you do Raman spectroscopy or infrared, especially infrared spectroscopy, on the ganses, you get 10, 20, sometimes 30 different elements recorded. And the scientists at Ghent University asked me, how is it possible? We have a carbon is a carbon, we have a oxygen is oxygen. How come we get 22 different items here? I said, it's a plasma. And when you have a drop of plasma, you got millions of suns, and each one is radiating different strength. Or the interaction of them creates different strength. So your machine detects this, and that's what it shows. We know this for years. It's in the book I've written. I think it's in the second book.
So it is a configuration of different
It's not a
atoms.
configuration. It's totality of all the stars in the universe. They interact. We see different lights and different stars.
Okay.
It's a very simple. This brings a lot of things to us, opening horizons of knowledge. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your bringing such a beautiful knowledge to us, and thank you very much, Dr. Parviz, for such a beautiful enlightenment. We'll talk later on, as we usually do, and then we'll see where we go to and what we can do. If there are not any other question, there is a point risen by one of our scientists that one of her patients asked her a question. And the question comes from a woman. The woman is a farmer in South America, and she has posted this to us in the different channels of the Keshe Foundation. The farmer lady has a problem in her land in Brazil, and the problem is that the way the human body has become resistant to so many antibiotics, herbicides or herbs, we use herbicides, the weeds, the other word of English language, in the farmlands have mutated and become immune to herbicides. Chemicals have no effect on them. The way what Dr. Parviz was saying, the mutation of the herpes, we see the mutation of another life form, what we call the vertical people, that chemicals do not affect them anymore. And she is asked the question that how can we, as Keshe Foundation, find a solution, as in some of the lands they cannot cultivate anymore with the diversity of the weeds or herb, that the farmland has become useless. How can we come up with a technology in the Keshe Foundation that allows the farmers to grow a specific wheat, corn or whatever, but does not allow the herbs or what they call the weeds, different weeds, to live in that space. What she says in her communication is that apparently up to 10 of these creatures have become totally immune to any herbicide. She's asked the foundation, can we come up with a solution? Can we find a way that the farmers can claim their lands back and they can make a living? Then, does any of the Keshe Foundation's trials has ever handled this? Has any of our agriculturists have ever handled using the plasma technology to create a condition that allows one life to live and creates an environment that is too hot for one and moves somewhere else? In the life of the Keshe Foundation, life of the process of our technology, we cannot kill. This is one thing which we promised. The only thing is we can ask them, we change your home, would you like to move somewhere else? We give you a home, but you have to move. or we would like you to move, that it makes us happy that we can make food on the land that we can eat to have a life? Do we talk to the soul of the plants, or do we create a condition that allows one type of life exist and the others don't? Our agricultural tests in respect to live animals, or what we call parasites, where I use pesticides, shows it could be different. Is Dr. Klaus online? Dr. Klaus, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. Would you like to tell us in one of your tests that you tried to move one animal, the whole animals have moved? Are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Which test do you mean?
You tried to get rid of beetles, but the whole animal world immigrated.
Yes. Yes, of course. Just let me go to another location here for a better reception. Okay. Yes, we made a test. In this case, it was a test concerning bark beetles, because bark beetles are currently a problem in a lot of regions. These are little animals who drill little holes into the bark of the trees, and then they live inside, and they are very clever. They, in 1 or 2 weeks or maybe less, they become more and more and more, and they suck the whole energy from the tree, so there is no chance for the tree to survive. And this is why there were several tests done, how we can apply plasma technology. One of these tests was using specific ganses we put around the tree, we placed around the tree. Additionally, we call it then dynamic windmill systems, because they are turned around by the wind, like a wind wheel. And what we observed, that the bark trees or more or less disappeared. But I think this is the basic of this was your question, that also other animals disappeared. Is this correct? I think this was the question, because we observed when we saw the bark beetles disappearing, we also observed that other animals like ants and other little animals disappeared from this little area around the tree. And this showed us that we were only working with fields here. So we did not spray any GANs waters. We didn't use GANs. We just used dynamic windwheel systems, which we built out of a windwheel, and we fixed the balls at the bottom of it, which we filled then with ganses. And we applied these ganses like we apply ganses in a ball unit, a plasma ball unit, in a dynamic system. And at the whole, these fields were very concentrated. And through these fields, the bark beetles disappeared.
So you came to move one, the whole neighborhood moved.
Yes, this was a side effect, of course, we did not like, because we then watched the ants moving away from this tree and other little animals, and we realized we made an environment which was not liked by all the animals around this tree.
So can we make a specific system that only says you're not welcome? The rest can stay?
Yes, I think so. so we need to concentrate more on these bark beetles. But what we don't want to do, we don't want to kill anything. This is not plasma technology. We just want them to say, please move away.
Yeah, but you didn't kill any of them, did you?
One didn't move, but we found him under a bark, and we do not know what happened to him before or after. But what we saw is that the animals just ran away. They don't fall. They did not fall off and die. They just ran away. They realized this is an environment we don't like. But
so this is what we would like to create for those who like to stay and the rest to go.
Yes, yes, correctly. And
so
of course,
we have to find the art of finding which one we don't want to stay.
Yes. And additionally, maybe it is a solution, not maybe, additionally is a solution to strengthen the plant, in this case, the tree, to strengthen him. Because what we know is when these bark beetles, and in other areas, these are other beetles, when they come in this huge number, there is something in disorder, there is something in imbalance. And I think we additionally have to have a look at how can we balance the tree again? What can we give him?
Okay, there is a solution. Just we spoke on the herpes. There is a solution. I've done this and it can be done. What you need to do, and this is what's going to be done in the problems you have, as we said, the trees have fallen. They've dropped, they cut most of these trees down and are there. Some of them, the roots are still in the ground. You need to reach through at the point of what we call the soul of the tree. And I explained in the teachings where it is. You need to make a GANs of it. And you need to enhance this GANs. And with it, feed the plant with it. And if you understand this, so you can use the way we use the herpes to create the GANs of it, and by transformation of field, you can make the GANs of the soul of the tree, or the center of the tree, which leads to its soul, because you can, when you cut at the point, does not grow, but still is there, what we know, and create an interaction of the field to just strengthen the tree, that it changes the condition of the existence of its physicality and the animals move out. So would that allow the animals go, or did your system elevated the soul of the plant, that it creates this condition, doesn't want no neighbors? It doesn't mean that we move the animals because we change the environment. Maybe in that process, the way you did, what we call it, we saw with the kiri tree, that it grew so much. And we have changed the environment of the soul of the plant. Do you understand?
Yes,
so
yes, I understand.
we just need, you have most probably the root of 1 or 2 trees which just been cut. If you can get to it, we know where roughly physically we understand the position of the soul of any plant, we have explained before, and make GANs of it, and then feed the plant, other plants with it. You can strengthen it with CH3 and the other thing which is needed for plants, and you see if the tree changes. If the plants, if you move the animal, the hole is still there, the wounds are still there.
Yes,
if you strengthen the soul of the plant, the way you've done with other proposition, then you will see these will heal, the wound will heal, the holes will recover. Then you know if you acted through the bark, or or what do you call it, the tree, or through the animal.
This sounds good. We're gonna make this immediately. They need it.
So all you need to do is just put this across. As maybe the soul of the tree, even the damaged ones will repair themselves, and you get the woodlands back. With what you are doing, you're moving the ants out, or the animals or beetles out, but the damage is there. But if you can elevate this, the strength of the inner strength of the tree, understanding itself, then the tree will, the farmers will claim their woods back.
Mr. Cash,
Yes?
what about if we make the ganses of the natural?
Can you come a bit closer to your microphone?
Okay. What about if we make the ganses of the natural predators of the beetles and spray it on the trees?
You create a condition of giving them a strength.
Okay.
If you put from one woodland, one end of the woodland to another, and create that gradient, you might move only the beetles. Possible. You just create a condition that it doesn't suit them. But the whole knowledge and the work of the foundation is on not to harm. And in that process, not harming, you create a condition for them to live. You give a condition to what you want to live to strengthen it. And by itself. You have to guess. Reduce you drill out the center to the point of interface between the ground and the air is roughly around approximately where the soul of the plant tree lives, and you can replicate it and strengthen the soul of the forest.
Thank you for this. This feels good, and we're gonna make it immediately and report.
Thank you very much.
I think there will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there will be a quick response from the trees.
We can see it takes some time, but you might see it. But in that process, when we elevate the soul of the man, that elevates the physicality of the man, diseases can't live. So it should be the same for the plant.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Now we haven't still solved the problem for our Brazilian farmer woman. And we can't go and pick up and put a dynamic core around every herb. There's millions of them. I think the solution sits in what we said in this part of teaching. If you want to think about it, we've been going on nearly for 3 hours. I'm exhausted. Teaching at this this order, it takes a lot of strength. And teaching knowledge which is not understood and opening it up into the world of science to be 100% correct, it takes a lot of concentration. You think about this, and we have an agricultural team, we have other teams that they can come back to us. And I know the solution, the how you got to do it, but we need to allow other knowledges to come in from the rest of the knowledge seekers. That in time we'll learn that we can share in the same way as we've done before. Thank you very much for today, and I hope we close one of the most horrible chapters of the life of the man with this herpes. We publish the paper. There's a paper to be published on how overcome diabetic, and will be published by what do you call it, as a paper by the journal, and we'll see how we give credible conditions to a lot of things. In the journal, we'll release a paper on diabetic. It's a very graphic, which you will see with the eye and the foot. And this is a process which is going as part of the research, still ongoing, but we've seen the results. It's so, what do you call it, conclusive, that we release a paper in the coming time. That we start building, sharing knowledge, that we all get benefited by it. We all see the benefit of it, and hopefully in a short time, in the coming time, we can help each other to live a better life. Does not matter what level. And by sharing the knowledge, and when we release these herpes or other papers, if you're a knowledge seeker and you have a spare time, pick up the link and go on other sites, research centers who work on these things in your language, and post it there. Let them read it. That's what we are. We are free knowledge seekers. We share knowledge freely. And these research scientists, when they read it, enlighten them and instigate them to do more research in the right way, and the better solution, maybe biopharmaceutical or whatever, will come to the market. Or they see it another way, and they come back and say, please give credit to the Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers in your paper. And we have to create a credibility for the journal to be independently peer reviewed by a man who's written it. The writer has to be the peer reviewer. If he sees something, he come back and change it himself. If he elevates his knowledge and sees something new, or he wants to change something, he should be the only one who can go in the paper and change his paper and put in there, this was my old view, this is my new view, and the reason for it will be very nice to understand how the knowledge was built. We need to do this. A lot of you have been, what I say, bystanders sitting on the chair and listening, and if you need it, you test it. Now collectively we have to do this. As we publish papers, to do it whatever, go on the website and take a link, send it to their scientist contact point. Please look at it. Somebody might read it. And we know a lot of people read all the Keshe Foundation pages one by one. Years ago, the original Keshe Foundation management team, which was about 3 of us, one of us, Oliver, used to daily print everyone who came into the website, every IP. And we noticed Manchester University nanotechnology guys are always on the site. Every day they come and see what is new. And after that, we saw them winning the Nobel Prize for their nanotechnology. We told them, I called them and said, it'll be nice to credit where you took the knowledge from. Many scientists come to the website, or invite new scientists to come to the website. This is all we can do. It doesn't cost anything, maybe 10 minutes, half an hour of watching a movie, which is, you know, the outcome. It'll be better to be saved, to share knowledge that somebody's life might be saved, or somebody might be enlightened to do a research somewhere and change somebody's life. I share my time and my life, really, and my knowledge. And those of you who are knowledge seekers have to learn and do the same. At least be generous enough to the knowledge you learn to pass on. Thank you very much for today, and next week we carry on, hopefully, if you remember, with the herbs, unless something else bigger doesn't come up. And we look at this new understanding and how we can add the knowledge of the Keshe Foundation to the knowledge which is existed by other scientists, that we build on the solid basis, a structure that we can build on. Then we don't get trapped by regulations and agencies. Thank you very much for today, and thank you, Rick, and the whole team in the background coming up with the documentation and figures so rapidly.
Well, thank you once again, Mr. Keshe, of course. And yes, many thanks to the team in the background, which did a lot of digging for this workshop. And also, I'd like to mention again about Mr. Keshe said that this workshop should be transcribed as soon as possible. And I was wondering, Flint, maybe you want to mention something about that, the coordination of the transcription. If somebody wants to help out with that, how would they coordinate to be able to contribute?
You can contact me at subtitles@kfssi.org.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, this brings to a close the 243rd Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, September 27th, 2018. If people have questions left over, bring them next week or send them to our to one of our channels, and we'll accumulate the questions on the list for next week. Okay, thank you everybody for attending, and we'll end the workshop with a couple of ending videos here.
Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on Earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. keshefoundation.org/donate.
Plasma products found at keshefoundation.org/store. Soothing, reusable plasma eye and migraine mask. Eliminate eye fatigue and relieve stress in eye area. European certified medical device. Massaging plasma insoles. Bring comfort back to your feet and energize your legs. European CE certified medical device. Antiseptic plasma liquid hand soap promotes well-being and relaxation with protective plasma formula, CE certified. One Soul Plasma T-shirt. GAN's formula within the symbols and stripes brings mind, soul, and body into balance, European certified. Pain Relief Pen emits a concentrated plasma field at point of pain, efficient up to 3 centimeters below the skin, CE certified. The Magrav's Energizer and Alkalizer raises pH and energizes water through magnetic and gravitational fields, CE certified medical device. Pain Relief Pad, a result of years of research in nanoplasma technology with magnetic and gravitational fields, CE certified medical device. Visit the online store at keshefoundation.org/store or find a distributor near you. Tax and shipping not included.
The development of the Keshe Foundation medical equipment has resulted in many different devices within the Foundation's medical inventory. One of these medical devices is the plasma ball unit. The plasma ball unit mainly consists of several spheres which are mounted on motors and therefore rotate at certain speeds, which can be regulated using a controller. Inside the spheres, different types of ganses in different physical states can be placed. The combination of ganses of various field spectra are used and concentrated to balance the fields and hence the matter of the human body. The plasma ball unit is built of high-quality materials and can be applied very flexibly. Thanks to the articulated arms mounted on a casted frame, every shielded motor can be moved freely in all directions. Materials used for the plasma ball unit are laser-cut and powder-coated stainless steel for the base frame, on which 3 sockets for the carbon fiber rods are fixed. On these vertical carbon fiber rods, the articulated arms, mainly out of carbon fiber, are mounted and can be moved freely. Thanks to the articulations, many geometries can be achieved to address every part of the body and create different types of concentrated fields. A maximum of 8 articulated arms can be mounted on a single casted frame, and 2 frames can be placed opposite one another so as to increase the number of articulated arms that can be positioned around a lying body. The plasma ball unit is a CE certified medical type 1 device and is delivered as a kit. Most of the components are pre-assembled, and completing the assembly takes a maximum of 15 minutes. The price of a plasma ball unit with 4 articulated arms is €4,900 excluding VAT and shipping. Payment by installments is possible. €2,500 when you order, €1,250 on delivery, and the rest 1 month later. The plasma ball unit can be ordered at http://store.keshefoundation.org. Order today and bring balance back to your life and the lives of those you care for.